At 11:43 p.m. on February 28, 2026, the first NOTAM lands in airline operations centers around the world. NOTAM, Notice to Air Missions. The language is dry, bureaucratic, immediate. Airspace closed, routing prohibited. By the time the sun rises over the Gulf, 3,400 flights have been canceled. More than 23,000 will be disrupted in the days that follow. Dubai International Airport, the world's busiest international hub, the airport that processed 95.2 million passengers in 2025, goes silent. A takeoff every 90 seconds, gone. Emirates generates approximately $100 million in revenue every single day. Every day the airport stays dark, that money does not exist. At 7 days, $700 million. At 30 days, the figure approaches the airline's entire annual profit in a typical year, and Emirates is one airline. Across the 7 largest Gulf carriers, losses exceed $200 million per day. In the first week alone, the bill crosses $1 billion. The country that triggered this had done it before. There was a June 2025 closure that lasted 12 days. The industry absorbed it, but this time was different. This time there was no backup plan, because this time no one had built one. To understand why there was no backup plan, you have to go back 3 decades and understand a decision that nobody at the time thought was dangerous. The Gulf is not conveniently located. It is structurally irreplaceable. This is not commerce, this is physics. Draw the Great Circle routes between Europe and South Asia, between East Africa and Australia, between the UK and Singapore. They do not pass near Dubai, they pass through it. The geometry of the Earth placed the Gulf at the center of the world's most traveled long-haul corridors, and the aviation industry spent 30 years engineering itself around that fact. Dubai International Airport handled 95.2 million passengers in 2025, more than JFK, Heathrow, and Charles de Gaulle combined. Emirates connects over 260 cities across more than 100 countries from a single hub, one airport, not 2, not a European backup or an Asian secondary, one runway system, one point on the map. The route architecture that built this system began forming in the 1990s. European carriers gave up long-haul routes they could not profitably operate, beaten by Gulf fuel prices, labor costs, and geographic advantage. Emirates, Qatar, Etihad absorbed every route. They were exceptional at it. By the 2010s, they had become the circulatory system of global aviation. 30% of all passengers flying between India and Europe move through Gulf hubs. Sub-Saharan Africa to anywhere east, Australia to Europe. The corridor aviation analyst Tony Staunton describes as a high-capacity bridge between east and west ran directly through Iranian airspace.
But here is what nobody considered at the time. When those European routes died, they did not pause, they did not hibernate. They disappeared. The infrastructure behind them, the crews, the slots, the aircraft, the ground operations, dissolved, and it never came back. Iran closes its airspace. Iraq closes with it. The bridge collapses, and what happens to the traffic that was crossing it? The traffic does not disappear. It funnels north or south into 2 narrow corridors. Those corridors immediately congest because they were not built to carry this volume. Airlines try to reroute. Qantas reroutes Perth to London via Singapore, adding a fuel stop, adding hours, losing payload. UK to Australia flights that normally connect through Dubai add 90 to 180 minutes to already 16-hour journeys. Every reroute burns more fuel. Every extra fuel stop reduces cargo capacity. Every delay ripples into the next sector. The alternatives get examined in real time and fail in real time. Istanbul handled 83 million passengers in 2023, already at practical capacity. It cannot absorb a fraction of what Dubai processes daily. Singapore is full. Addis Ababa, which Ethiopian Airlines has built into Africa's most capable hub, lacks the connecting frequency to handle Europe-Asia volume at scale. The alternatives did not partially fail, they failed completely. Meanwhile, the Indian migrant workers who live and work across the Gulf, millions of them, route through Dubai on sub-3-hour flights because there is no other affordable option with an acceptable travel time. When the airport goes dark, they do not have a second choice. They wait. In terminals, in hotels. On social media, a 32-year-old chef from Dallas named Otis Turner, stranded in Doha, put it plainly. They say, "Get out, but how do you expect us to get out when airspaces are closed?" There is no answer that helps him. Every alternative came up short, not by a margin, by an order of magnitude. Engineers have a name for a system with one component that, if it fails, takes everything else down with it. A single point of failure. One component, no redundancy. When it breaks, the whole system breaks. Aviation built one and did not realize it until the moment it mattered.
The first warning came in February 2022. Russia closed its airspace to Western airlines following the invasion of Ukraine. Carriers were forced onto polar routes, longer, more expensive, requiring additional fuel stops that reduced payload. It cost billions. It created cascading disruptions. It hurt, but it was containable. The Gulf carries roughly 3 times the volume of traffic that Russian overflight represented. The 2026 Iran closure is not a larger version of the Russia problem. It is a different class of problem entirely. And this is where the question that nobody in the industry wants to answer becomes unavoidable. Was this an accident? 30 years of route consolidation, 30 years of Gulf hub expansion, 30 years of European carriers exiting long-haul markets they could not profitably serve. At every step, the rational decision for each individual airline was to let the Gulf carriers take the route. It was cheaper, it was more efficient, it worked. The system optimized itself into dependence. No single airline chose to create a single point of failure. They all chose it together, one route abandonment at a time. Dubai was designed to be indispensable. It succeeded completely, and that is exactly the problem. The world's airlines face a choice: accept that global aviation's arteries run through a conflict zone and hope the next closure is short, or rebuild. But rebuilding lost infrastructure takes decades and billions of dollars that no airline wants to spend on a problem that might not come back for years. The aircraft would need to be repositioned, the routes would need to be resurrected, the slots, the crews, the ground operations, all of it reconstructed from scratch in markets that were abandoned because they were unprofitable. The runway at Dubai is empty. The question is, who blinks first, the conflict or the industry? And which one do you think has more patience? If this story made you think differently about how global aviation actually works, subscribe to Avia Tales. We cover the decisions, the economics, and the vulnerabilities that shape every flight you take. Hit the bell so you never miss a video. See you in the next one.